Hey, what up? It's New Age Ja, and welcome back. Today, I guess at the moment, I will be exposing my big ass forehead as my hair is still wet and drying, and so it is not at its complete full main power, which is fine. And so speaking of power, I really want to express or talk to you about what my perception of power is, and how power is a really odd thing, and everyone seeks it in one way or another. But in the ways that I seek power, in the ways that I express power is in self-control and in self-management. Power to me is the emanation of the frequency, the emanation of my personal frequency. That is power. If I am able to expend my energy outward, and when you so happen to come into contact with it, you feel me. And at the depth of the feeling that you experience, or in the depth of the emotion that you experience when in contact with my frequency or my energy, to me that is power. There are distortions of power, as in being power hungry or seeking to control others. When I speak of power, I do not wish to control others, but I do wish to control my narrative, to control my expression, to control the force of impact that I may hold on another. Why? Why is it that you want to be felt? Well, why wouldn't I want to be felt? Why is it even important that others feel you? But what do you mean? I work so hard, I have deep concentration as to how well my vibration carries. And that's something that I take extreme pride in. See, power to some is the act of humility. And although I practice humility from time to time, most times, it's not always evident to the human eye as I humble myself to an almighty God. I mean, it's a beautiful thing to humble yourself in front of your fellow man, in front of your fellow woman, but to me it's beautiful to humble myself in front of God. See, everyone has their own belief systems, and some may choose to be in a bubble, and others may choose to expand their minds. I've took time to develop my beliefs, but another in my destruction of seeking personal power and trying to achieve a balance of humility, I've almost imploded on myself. See, if you think that my expression in any way or my aura in whatever way has been of an influence of you, and then I've actually have capitulated or have held back 80% of the more that I have to offer. And that in turn festers and manifests itself in different forms and different ways and different illnesses. Let's just say migraines. So power. Why is it that I have contained my power? And why have I placed such severity and put myself in a container? And a lot of it has to do with just straight up confrontation, you know? Somewhere along my lines, I was hurt. In some way along the lines, I was damaged. I was meant to be shamed and told and shown worthlessness, and in turn I have taken my severity upon myself and strengthened myself, but also have contained anger towards those who have sought to extinguish this power or to extinguish this light. And this impression that has been put on me through force has in turn to me, myself, putting this need to suppress my own power and light so that the confrontation doesn't ensue. It's a real interesting battle, as the thread isn't always clear. So speaking up on truths such as sexuality, the liking of women, the liking of men, the over-sexualization of a being over-sexualized, being sexualized, being sexual, not expressing that sexuality, hypersexuality to non-expression. Having slurs and ugly connotations thrown upon you so that you perhaps see that you're worthless. And so I've had bouts of severity where I choose to exemplify the power and strength within through resilience, but in the same time not speaking on the angers. Why? Because it's like, you know what? If you've ever sought to hurt me, if you've sought to dim my light, if you've sought to somehow diminish me, then I'm going to show you that you cannot knock me down. But yet doing that in a silence, but in an active behavior, has still shown itself as unhealthy for me over time. As I should be verbalizing my anger, as I should be verbalizing my pain. And it's not because I really want to, because I really don't, but because my body, my heart, my soul wants to. And it's manifesting itself in pimples, although I don't have any makeup on other than eyeliner and some blush. And I did some other cool stuff, but we'll talk about that later. And my skin is finally healing, but it's time that I speak on the injustices of my soul. What is power? Power to me is becoming unwavering in sorts, is knowing exactly who you are, whether you decide to verbalize the anger and the pain and the ferocity that comes behind it, as long as it is felt. And to me, that is of major importance, to be able to throw waves of self onto others as I am felt. But along must come the words of verbalization. For my body and my soul seek it, okay. Instead of placing the severe eye upon myself, perfecting, strengthening, perfecting, strengthening. I mean, the severity upon myself, which I seek to grow and thrive, has now come to some type of culmination where the infection seeks to boil over, for it's now time to clean up the wound. Anger, power, jealousy, severity, to diminish, to distinguish. These are all very, very strong components in my atmosphere. Whether it's a reaction or, again, a distinction in behavior. What is power? And what does power feel like? Sometimes to me, it's just outright strength. And trust me, I've lived a life that has cultivated strength. Now, to add words to the equation, to perhaps call out those who have abused me, who have used me. And no, I mean, come on, no one wants to admit that they've been abused, that they've been used, that they've been discarded and hurt. And that's a part of my severity. It's a part of like my silent power, where although you sought to destroy me, I still move in power. But in the same token, it can be a powerlessness as the expression is in silence. But to me, that's where the mastery has unfolded. And yet to further reclaim the power, because now all that power and severity upon myself, buried and taken and being held has imploded. And it has almost manifested itself as a powerlessness that expresses itself through like migraines and, let's say, yeast in my skin. And so a little bit more honesty, a little bit perhaps externalizing my severity a bit, because it's time to expose those who have hurt and to continue to hurt. And so, in the same token, lacking, not exposing other, one fears exposure of self, but that is, I guess, comes with the territory. And so exposure it is. So yeah, power. What does power mean to you? And what does power look like to you? Extreme humility, extreme stance, nurturing and birthing babies, lifting the weakened and the sullen, the grieving and the hurt, fighting against injustices, standing up against those who wish to oppress you, becoming resilient and standing up over and over and over and over fucking again. Is that power to you? Facing your adversary in the eye and claiming your power, claiming your stance, no matter what it looks like to the other individual. What is power to you? What does that look like? And then in the same token, how does that power foster powerlessness, as power stems from some sort of weakness? Everything has a light and a dark side, or everything has a flip side, some type of mirroring or stemming effect. What goes on beneath the ground manifests something differently above the surface. Doesn't mean that there's still a reflection from up above, down below. So power and powerlessness, and how do they interchange for you? And what do they look like? And how does your power manifest from powerlessness? Or maybe how are you overcompensating? And is it true power? And is it true powerlessness? Anyways, anywho, the beginning of power in speech. For I will continue to claim this position and continue to speak on my adversary, which ultimately has been myself and can be myself. So anyways, until next time, I'll chat with you, and God bless you. Later.